This modern education does not even recognize that it lacks this, number one. Number two, the decline of the joint family system. It's a huge loss. Who are believing that nuclear family systems are better, the solution for most issues, but in fact, they are a disaster both in the upbringing of youngsters, because we are leaving youngsters to God knows whom, with abuses increasing, mental health issues increasing, elderly not being taken care, youngsters not taken care. There needs to be a revival of the joint family system in the Hindu way of life. Next question from Mr. Nagarajan. What is the impact of modernism-based education, decline of the joint family system on elderly care? Will you please explain it?
I am probably the wrong person to address that. But
okay, so I'll just take a try on this. In the Gurukul times, when we had education, the education system was very different. Where we had children sitting, sweeping, taking care of the requirements of their gurus. There was nothing wrong in sweeping a room or doing a bed or cleaning a bathroom. But our present education system, which is very British when it started, doesn't teach the basics to our children. Whether it is about growing your own vegetable garden, about nutrition, about finances, about taking care of your elderly, about etiquette. The current modern education system shows no responsibility in teaching values to our youngsters. Our old system used to teach children through stories, through dramas, through music, through our itihas, through our stories, that like how to respect elderly, how to devote yourself to them, how to take care of them. I don't think our present system is even is actually ignorant that this is not a part of our curriculum. And it is, we used to in India have a complete 360 degrees education. Right from when a child is born, every milestone is celebrated. An elderly man, 60 years is celebrated, 80 years is celebrated, 83rd year is celebrated. All these were a part of our customs. This modern education does not even recognize that it lacks this, number one. Number two, the decline of the joint family system. It's a huge loss. In fact, I appreciate the Muslim families. They still keep their joint family system. They're still keeping their culture together. The Marwadis are somebody, and the Gujaratis, you need to appreciate them. They're keeping this joint family systems intact even today. However, it is most other Hindu families who are believing that nuclear family systems are better, the solution for most issues. But in fact, they are a disaster both in the upbringing of youngsters, because we are leaving youngsters to God knows whom, with abuses increasing, mental health issues increasing, elderly not being taken care, youngsters not taken care. There needs to be a revival of the joint family system in the Hindu way of life. This is my take on it, my personal take on it. Would you like to add something, Mr. Sashidhar?
Yeah, I agree partly. The flip side is also, because I worked in the mental health space for quite some time. Let's just ask ourselves a very important question. The generation of tomorrow that we are expecting to care for us and the previous generation, who set the expectations for that generation? Us. When I meet a lot of my friends, all in my same age group, all of us in our 40s, 50s, 60s, 40s and 50s more so. When I look at the way we are bringing up our children, our entire emphasis is on academic achievement with very little scope for sport, for play, for community. We're happy as long as the child gets their admission, they go into some top-end institute to pursue engineering or medicine. We don't ourselves practice a lot of it which the previous generation used to. I'm not saying that we should do everything as they did. The world is evolving, it's changed. But if we are talking about traditions, we're talking about mores, we're talking about customs, we're talking about etiquette. As a Gen X, I probably have 30% of the awareness of my parental generation. And my child probably has 30% of what 30% I know. How much of an effort have we made to ensure that this generation is rooted in its culture? It's rooted in what it does. And let's also accept that we as a community, we as a society have adopted a lot of good things out of technology, out of education, the Western system education, whatever it is. But I think we've also conveniently forgotten a lot of things which are necessary for us to stay rooted in the strength of the social fabric that makes us Indian. We miss that. So I don't think it's not a straight cut whether modernism works, the modern education system works. I think the dilemma and the discussion is much more broader. We need to take the good out of each one of them and then practice it. And I think one of the best ways is when WishwaTalks talks about or brings about social issues and traditions and customs are discussed. There is an opportunity for us as a generation to reconnect and build meaningful outcomes for our future generation. I think one of the best ways of building socially conscious younger generation is to involve them in social work. Let them see that they are privileged, and that sense of privilege comes with responsibility. So if we are able to do that, I think we are certain the future is going to be a lot more supportive of us when our time comes.
I wanted to share, I did my MBA in Switzerland, and there is something called timeshare. So if youngsters actually spend time with the elderly or with the sick, they actually are making investments to get such a timeshare when they grow old. I hope and wish that our government would actually consider that. Ms. Neena Kurkul, please ask your question.
Thank you. For me, I think senior citizens, telling them senior citizens is wrong, because just yesterday I attended a program of such people. They were so energetic that I was feeling ashamed that I did not have that much strength to even dance in front of them. They were so nice, really, because what happens, some of them had blockages since so many years, like sitting at home, and they were not encouraged for anything. But yesterday when I attended live program it was, they were all aged. But the energy, I think the brain and their heart was very young. Because when they just came inside, they had a stick in their hand, they were shivering. But as the music started, I don't know what happened. They were so energetic that I felt that I was older than them. Means it is like that, really. Means it is a fact I've seen many times. I'm more with the old age people. Wherever there are old people, I like to go and talk to them and all. They have so much knowledge. So what I think that we should make some like that small one organization, so that we can bring them together with the ideas and make the children also sit with them, and us also, all the youth, and make them aware that they are not, what we are saying, they are not without knowledge. वो बुद्धू नहीं है, उनसे हमको बहुत कुछ सीखने मिलता है, and they are always giving, always. And they are like when after 50s or 60s, I think they become a small child. So they have so much love in them that I think that has to come out. And our generation, our children's generation, they are worst. They don't respect us. They don't respect anyone. So my duty is that I will want to do something for them. I don't know whether my dream will come true or no, but in a little extent, I will like to do something for them.
And you talking to them itself makes all the difference.
Yes, that's true.
There is one question from Ms. Kalyani Vardhan. Most of our children are abroad, and when we fall sick, how do you run the day-to-day when we are sick? Yeah, would you like to answer that?
Yeah, in fact, this is something that there is an entire space where a lot of new entrants have entered into this particular field, where they're providing nursing and medical care at home. We are at a very nascent stage. India is still a long way from having world-class home care services. When I say home care, like a doctor at home, visiting homes, or where there are suitable technology platforms that will actually cover the entire gamut of what are the needs of such a population. One of the challenges that we see is because there is lack of scale, the cost is quite high. And there is a very interesting dilemma here. You are dealing with a population that is very wary of spending. They belong to a generation that has taken the rough path. They've taken a very difficult path to create the savings that they have. So they are averse to spending. And it is easy when somebody comes up and says, India has a population of about 76 or 78 million senior citizens, 7.8 crores out of 1.4. And 140 crores versus 7.8. In another, by 2050, we will be having almost about 10 or 20 crore senior citizens. And it's easy to do an extrapolation and say this is a multi-billion-dollar industry. What you're forgetting is this multi-billion-dollar potential industry will never fructify if you're not aware of the sensitivities of economic spend of this particular generation. While there are services available, we have to understand that the little services that are available, the decent quality services are expensive. And I see a lot of families and I see a lot of themselves not wanting to spend on their own. They don't spend. They will say, why do I need a neurologist at home? Knowing full well that they need to go and for a cardiologist or a gynecologist or a nephrologist for all that care. It depends on whatever is the health issue. If somebody has to come home, that someone coming home is actually leaving his or her OP, which means their revenue of that day is affected. Therefore, they're going to be asking for much higher. Home-based services are still in the early stages. There's a lot of trial and error that is happening. But sincere suggestion to all NRI families or non-resident families. When I say non-resident, not necessarily outside India, but they may not be in Hyderabad or in their staying. You have to understand that whatever is a local service available, you will have to work with that local service provider to develop a better quality service. It's easy to complain and say, this person doesn't work, this agency doesn't work, this attender is horrible, that doctor doesn't come home, the medicines prescribed are no good or they are delayed. It's easy to complain, but do you have an alternative? If there is no alternative, then it is our responsibility as the generation that is caring for the elderly or the stakeholders in the care of the elderly to build those quality processes in place. So when we work with the Sparsh, we have families who come and say, can you please suggest if I can visit our center? Can you advise if a physiotherapist can visit home? Can you advise if a good agency can provide nursing care for us? We don't ad hoc refer anyone. We are very wary of the fact that if we are referring someone, that reference should be genuinely good quality. Otherwise, there is really no need for them to ask me that. They could have gone to anybody else. They could have Googled. So when they come to us, are we aware? If we are aware, then we have to do the due diligence to ensure that the service provider is aware that we are asking them to live up to a certain set of standards. While we do that with the third-party service providers, we also have to sensitize families that when a home care attender is specifically sent to care for the elderly person, the intent of the family should be to use that person specifically for the care of that person for whom they have sought the service, rather than ask them to do the kitchen work, the bartan and the... Okay, the thing is, the families tend to think, I'm anyways paying 30,000 rupees, I'm paying 25,000, so why doesn't this person do that part of the work too? But that is not the mandate. So I think we have to be very clear, and I had this question from NRI families who keep saying, in 30,000 rupees is a hell of a lot of money to pay for an attendant, to care for my loved one who's staying in the house alone. My question to him is, this is not the US, this is not UK, this is not Holland, this is not Dubai, this is Hyderabad, this is India, this is Delhi. We have limitations, and our limitations are the boundaries within which we can work. So we all have to understand that while there is an expense, there is also a certain set of standards that are available, and we need to be able to work with both. If we don't, we are going to be severely distressed. I see a lot of families change attenders every day. This attender comes, leaves, the nurse comes, leaves, the doctor comes, leaves. What's the consequence? The person who needed all that support is up. So it is a lesson for all of us. We all have to ensure that not only are we asking for services availability, but what are we doing to ensure that the services are available? What are we doing to ensure that the quality of those services is good? Are we giving feedback? Are we being constructive? Or are we just being critical? So this is my 2 cents, and I think there is a lot of learning for all of us.
Sir, this was wonderful that you have spoken about this. One of the reasons Vishwa is coming up with talks with question and answers is I myself have made the mistake that you have just suggested. So while talking, we get to see what is right from what is wrong. And your point that they have come to take care of the elderly. Let us accept that. And that is the new norm. Is something that, only when we talk like this will we get to understand the reality of what is right and what is wrong at these times in these circumstances. Thank you. That was a wonderful feedback. We have Asha Vijay Rao. Doctor, is there any legal society helping elders to fight for them in affordable expenses?
I didn't get the question.
Is there any legal society for the elder? For example, now they want a will written, or they want to, probably they have a house, they would like to take a loan on it. Is there any legal society that is helping the elderly?
I'm not too, I don't think I'll be able to identify one or two. I'm not aware of the names, but I have met a few advocates, lawyers in Hyderabad who are offering their services on a pro bono basis or at a very nominal charge. And I think there is a need to collate that kind of information, but there are service providers, there are societies. One word of caution to anyone who is thinking that, I would like, for example, you talk about a society that is providing legal advisory services to the elderly. If it is a pro bono, you can rest assured that the elderly person or the family seeking that support, legal support, is going to get basic information. You will not be able to get the expertise that is needed to address your specific question. So, for example, I'm just giving an example. There was this gentleman, NRI, who wanted to, care for his mother, so he arranged for attenders, family to take care of him. So they arranged for somebody, a family of a husband, wife, and somebody else to stay with him. After about a year, when this gentleman comes back, he realizes that the entire pension account of the elderly person is empty. There was around 80 odd lakhs, and that is all empty. And the house, which is worth a few crores, is in the name of the attender's family.
In the name of
the family that was caring for them, the attenders, the agency that had put those two resources there. Those two people had gotten the house transferred into their name. And this NRI lands up in Hyderabad and he comes to us and says, this is what happened. What do we do? So they have gone and sought the support of a local NGO, and they connected them to a legal advisor. And that gentleman gave them a broad outline of what could be done. But if you're expecting that this individual, the pro bono legal advisor, to go out on a limb and do what is necessary for you, then I think you have a challenge. They have limitations too. Pro bono is like, I give a few 2 hours, maybe a day out of my 30 days in a month. And they would like to address as many needs as possible. So while it is good to seek the support of non-profits, NGOs and others in this space, my strong suggestion is please reach out to established legal advisors and take their help. Okay, there is, for example, there is an NGO that works exclusively on guiding elderly to prepare that also helps them prepare put their financial matters and their estate related issues in order. That will help them prepare an actual document, a will, so to say. And they will also give you a mechanism to store all of this information in a repository, so that on the demise of the individual, or where the individual is no longer has the capacity to do what is necessary, those documents will then be accessed by whoever is a nominating individual or association, who in turn will execute it on their behalf. For example, if you have something like a living will or an advance directive, somebody has to execute an advance directive. If this person does not have the capacity to execute the advance directive, that is the reason why they have prepared. So someone else has to execute it. That execution cannot be left to a pro bono fee advisor. They don't have any stake in your well-being. They're restricted to information sharing. So this question requires us to think on two lines. One, yes, please do seek support of non-profits, NGOs or such services, such societies. They will give you basic information, but always seek the support of an established legal practitioner, even if it costs you some money. That is money well spent, because it is for your safety and the safety of the loved one. It protects you.
Next, there is one, Mr. Nagarajan Krishnamurthy. Change of option from moralistic to materialistic is the main reason for elders left as orphan. Now, there is a steady increase in the number of elderly orphans than child orphans. Change of mentality through education and law is inevitable and the need of the hour. I think it is this that the talk is trying to address, that both the elderly and the youngsters need to change their attitude towards the current and reschedule, re-evaluate our value systems in this. Next question is from Ms. Sarita. Are there any elderly daycare centers where we can spend time during the day and take care and come back home?
So, like, for example, cities like Bangalore, Hyderabad, and Delhi, and a few other cities, including Chennai, I think, there are a lot of non-profits who are running daycare centers for elderly. And an example in Hyderabad, it depends. If there is an elderly person who is otherwise, in a normal health state, okay, does not have any neurological condition, like, for example, dementia or something like that. There is a very nice facility in Patapur in Hyderabad run by one Mrs. Mateen Ansari. It's known as Dobara. And Dobara is a place where seniors from around this area can congregate. I think it's open all days of the week, or Monday to Saturday, Friday, if I'm not wrong. And they have a library, they have a lot of activities, they have events and performances, and it is for the elderly and it is for them. And it's a very nice place. Like that, there is another facility that is coming up in Eramanzil, known as Alambana, and but that is primarily for elders who have cognitive dysfunction like dementia, and but their loved ones are always welcome, because invariably the elderly who has a cognitive dysfunction like dementia is also cared for by another equally elderly person, which is a spouse, and therefore the center offers them both an opportunity, cognitive rehab for the elderly person with dementia, and generic space for spending nice time, quality time, doing activities, indulging in their art and whatever it is for the elderly person. So this is another one. Like that, I think there are very few, but the few that are there, like Alambana, like Dobara, these are institutes that are slowly coming up, and I think there is an opportunity for more such to be established. And you can definitely look at Dobara. It is there. You can Google it. It's available. Otherwise, I can share the details of this organization. Alambana also, I'll be able to share the details.